If you're anything like me, well, I feel very bad for you. But also, you love Godzilla movies. There's so many different reasons why kaiju lovers are drawn to these films. Some have hidden meanings, others are just insane to watch. If you love monster movies, there's no wrong answer as to why. And one thing we all have in common is that we know that Godzilla is king. Here is my top 10 list of Godzilla movies. I'm starting with my number 1 because it's not really surprising at all. Number 1, Gojira. Gojira, which is Japanese for gorilla whale, was first conceived as a metaphor for nuclear destruction, and this poignant film mirrors the destruction of Hiroshima. To this day, the Japanese people have been the most affected in the world by nuclear devastation, seeing its horrors firsthand, and that experience was key in bringing the message this movie carries to the people. Number 2, Shin Godzilla. This may be the most recent film in the franchise, but it harkens back to the roots of the Godzilla metaphor. This time around, the symbolism mirrors the Fukushima disaster, and offers a rather harsh critique of the efficiency of politics in these situations. The prefix Shin means many different things in Japan. It can mean truth, new, origin, evolved, and all of these different meanings play a part in the movie, but I think the meaning they were going for was the most ominous definition of the word Shin: God. Number 3, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Filmed during the 90s Heisei period, this movie sparked a whole new continuity for Godzilla. Carrying a strong message about tampering with nature, this movie has one of the franchise's most unique and interesting monsters. Interestingly, the idea was created by a Japanese dentist who entered his idea into a story contest. Number 4, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. During the 60s Showa period, Godzilla movies began a trend of over-the-top, crazy sci-fi adventures. Monster Zero is actually Godzilla's longtime nemesis, King Ghidorah. This entry has it all: space aliens, monster fights, world domination, and a romantic subplot. Starring international white guy Nick Adams and the irresistible Kumi Mizuno. Fun fact, Nick Adams and the main alien were actually really good friends on set and played pranks on each other all the time. Number 5, Godzilla 1984. This movie stands as kind of a black sheep entry in the series. It's not very well received for the most part. However, I always really liked it. Well, maybe not so much the Raymond Burr version. This film was the beginning of what is known as the Heisei period. It's dark, dramatic, and efficiently brings Godzilla into the modern world. With its Cold War undertones, and by far most frightening design for Godzilla, it's definitely earned a place in my top 10. Number 6, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. Part of the Millennium series, this movie shakes up the roles of the kaiju considerably. Being a standalone movie, Godzilla in this one is resurrected as a force of pure evil, and has been redesigned to reflect that effect. The real shakeup comes from seeing King Ghidorah as the good guy in the movie, with such interesting twists on these long-standing characters and its huge monster battles. This movie is a must-watch for any kaiju fan. Number 7, Destroy All Monsters. Before the Avengers and the Justice League movies, this 60s brawl was the ultimate movie crossover. Bringing together nearly every monster in Toho's arsenal, this film is meant to conclude the 60s run on the kaiju movies. And there's no one better to lead this cadre of monsters into battle than Godzilla, the king of them all. Number 8, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Of all the monsters the big guy has ever faced, his robotic counterpart has always been the most challenging. Not only is he being controlled by alien gorillas, yeah, I said that, alien gorillas, but this machine is armed to the teeth with missiles, lasers, shields, and space titanium. Even special guest star King Caesar can't stop it. Number 9, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. The third entry in the Heisei period, this movie is the ultimate showdown between the two longtime enemies. But also, the plot twists and action in this movie are insane. Time-traveling bad guys, android super spies, and a really weird message about economic power. This movie takes the kaiju battle to a whole new level. Plus, we get to see the grand entrance of Mecha King Ghidorah. Before I mention number 10, here's a few honorable mentions. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster is not the most popular movie in the series. The reason I bring it up is because, well, this was the first Godzilla movie I ever saw, and it started me down this path of obsession with monster movies. And any movie with the lovely Kumi Mizuno is a winner in my book. And then there's Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Conceptually interesting, but falling a tad flat. The reason I bring it up is because this movie has the most batshit crazy explanation for a monster's origin. Warning, listening to this might just make your head explode.
There were only 2 occasions when G-cells were sent into outer space. 1, a fragment of Biolante, and 2, Godzilla's flesh attached to Mothra. One of these cells must have been swallowed by a black hole and pushed out from a white hole. It grew very quickly in its own evolutionary system, much faster than expected. It assimilated crystal organisms and was exposed to tremendous energies from the explosions of stars. And finally, the most horrific monster was born.
Black holes, white holes, crystal organisms, explosions of stars. Yeah, that's good lord, man. I can't even science that. And finally, my number 10 Godzilla movie of all time, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. This movie is supposed to carry a message about environmental concerns, but that message kind of takes a back seat to all the trippy, drugged-out weirdness that this movie has become infamous for. Hedorah is a monster created by pollution, and without Captain Planet around, we need Godzilla's thermal atomic death breath to save the day. As if that was environmentally friendly. The movie, admittedly, isn't the greatest in the entire franchise, but it's so bizarre, so weird. How could I not have this one in my top 10? That wraps up this special. Please check out my friends at Pop Culture Philosophers and at Killing Time. I really hope you enjoyed this list. I'll have some more soon as I can think of something to do. That's it for right now. But remember, if you can't be fancy, be janky. See ya.